to The Sinner and the Saint. I'm Melissa Bell.
And I'm Allison Kane.
That is like the longest 14 seconds.
I know, right?
So we have to be quiet for 14 entire seconds so Allison can add, what do you call that?
Our intro. Yeah.
Right? And I feel like that is the time that I just need to get all the things out. I don't know how you kids are doing in school testing, but clearly I would fail.
Gosh, I know. It's like, I think I can. Be quiet for 14
seconds, y'all.
Without laughing or...
That's my limit.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So summer is upon us.
Oh, yay. I love summer. It's my favorite time.
Yeah. Every week. It's hard. I love summer. And then it's also challenging because I love like a schedule and a routine. And during the school year, most weeks, it's like the same. And in the summer, it feels like every single week is a different schedule.
Oh, so here's the question. What are you going to do when you're an empty nester? Hello? Who was that? It's Summer calling.
Summer.
It's going to be here soon. Hey, Summer. Thanks for checking in.
I love it. What a pleasant little call ring Summer has.
Yes. Thanks, Summer. It is magical.
Yes.
But what are you going to do when you don't have anybody?
Dude, I don't know. I've got 2 more years.
All right. Well, we're going to have to spend 2 years figuring that out because otherwise, I don't know what you're going to do.
I don't either.
But part of me wants to find out.
I'll be at your door a lot, I guess.
Sweet.
Well, I was thinking a lot about, so our older kiddo has been a lifeguard before.
I think that would be the best job, but probably because I watch Baywatch a little bit.
Yes. Oh, gosh. We still do watch that at the beach sometimes.
Well, yeah.
It just seems so appropriate. And, y'all know how much I love the beach. Also grew up on the coast. And, all the rip currents, all the lifeguards. My parents had a swimming pool business, growing up. So we had a pool and we were on the river. So I've grown up around water.
It sounds really stressful. If you grew up on the Gulf Coast like I did, it's just not so stressful at the beach. There are no rip currents. You don't.
Oh.
Yeah, there's not little flags. The only flag you get is if there's
You don't
red
have
tide.
rip currents?
Not really. Not like here.
Oh, wow.
All you have to do is a stingray shuffle.
Yeah, we definitely don't. Well, we do have stingrays on the coast.
Because where I'm from, we don't even have lifeguards on the beach, but y'all out here, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, hold your babies
Exactly.
and your grown kids.
Well, I was thinking about that, and there's actually some things that happen if you're drowning. Have you, people go into a panic mode?
I was like, are you going to ask me if I've drowned before?
No, no, I'm not. Well, you could almost have, almost did. But, people panic and they just start grabbing at anything.
Oh, gosh.
So lifeguards have to be really careful because that's why they carry those buoy things or the,
around their little waist. It's cute.
And they take it because they're supposed to extend that out to the person. Because otherwise, if a person's just panicking and they can grasp them and just pull them down. So there's actually kind of like this rule that saves a lifeguard from, if they're in a situation where they don't think that they can save the person without drowning themselves also, they can let that person,
My gosh. Can you imagine being in that situation?
No, but hopefully people, have the wherewithal most of the time to grab the flotation device.
Right.
And then they can kind of calm down and then the lifeguard can assist them in. But I'm sure there's times when that just doesn't work. Like somebody's totally freaking out. I mean, I don't know of any specific, but.
Y'all, next time you're drowning, do not freak out. Okay. Pause and wait for that little orange thing.
Exactly. And even in a pool, I mean, it's the same. People, anytime. When your life is in danger or nearing the end, you panic.
So
right?
I still have a very vivid memory of my youngest child. He was about 4 years old and he could not swim. We were in Texas and somebody pushed him into the pool.
Oh.
And it was a little plop of water. Like all you heard was a plop. Had I not turned around to see what was happening, his face was panicked. And have you heard of the climb? They're in the water doing the climb.
Yes.
That's the silent drowning that he was about to do. And he's 10 years old, and I can still picture the whole thing.
Wow.
It's terrifying.
Yes. And I think too, like growing up with my parents in the pool business, I mean, we heard so many horror stories, like even with diving boards. Even now, like before my kids go anywhere near water, I'm like, do not dive. You are not allowed to dive head first anywhere, you know.
So happy summer, friends.
Yeah. Anyway, our whole point in this.
Oh, good. I'm glad we have one.
Yeah. Whew, is that, you know, sometimes in life, we are trying to help someone in a particular situation in their life.
Not necessarily a pool, but just in life in general.
Just in life in general, with a problem that they're having. We're helping them solve, I don't know, a situation, an addiction, an issue, a dilemma, whatever you want to call it. Choose a synonym. But we can't always help those people. We want to, but sometimes we just have to let them go. And I thought it would be really healthy to just kind of talk about maybe a couple of things. Like, how do you know when it's time to let that person go and go back into shore and leave them? You know,
leave them out to fend for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. With the sharks and the drowning and all the things, which is really hard. Just like you said, like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine being in that situation. But sometimes in our lives, that's what we have to do, because otherwise the person's going to pull us down and kill us too.
Oh, yeah. Or they are, you know, there's a scripture somewhere that says, I know, guys, we're the sinner and the saint. We hang out all together. But it says, like, don't hang out with sinners or else you will become, like, you are who you hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my mom always said. My mom and dad, they were always like, choose friends that build you up, not pull you down. Same with this, right? We don't want anybody pulling us down under the water.
But I think sometimes if you're trying to help somebody, you're going in and you are built up and so you feel strong. But then if it continues for so long, like, you just get weak, and that's a slippery slope, and that leaves a little toehold for, you know.
That's right. And I think, so we're just going to talk about like 5 quick, I mean, there's like a million other things, I'm sure, but like 5 things or red flags that maybe, you know, you need to head back into the shore.
All right, girl, let it rip, because I don't know what these are.
All right. So one is you care more about healing the person, getting the person, you know, into shore than they do.
Oh, I...
Ever been in a situation like that?
I mean, maybe yesterday. I don't know. But yes, like, you can't want it more than they do.
I mean, I have been in situations where I am so much more invested in, like, helping someone with their problem, their marriage, their whatever, than they are.
Yes. And you take it on because... But I think sometimes it's because you know what the other side looks like and they don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we do it with our kids a lot too. Not just other people, but we do it to our children because, I mean, of course, when they're littles, it's totally different. But as your kids start to get older and they're adult, you know, 18 and up and get a little older, it is really hard. Like, there are just some things that I care way more about at this particular time. But as I look back, I didn't care about that at that age either.
Well, it's funny. Kids, I hope you're not listening, but I'm always like, well, you're way better than I was at your age. So go for it. Is that it? Is that what you want to do? Oh, okay. That's great.
I think that is, we all get into those moments with friends, with family, with children, with spouses even, where we care more about fixing a problem. And that is, we got to back off.
Yeah. And how do you know? I guess they just, you know, I guess they're an asshole, right? Which we talked about. They ask your thoughts or whatever, and they don't do it. So I said asshole for those of you that might be trying to monitor us.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, they have to do the work. But when you care more than the person with the problem, you're doing the work, which doesn't fix anything. So it's time to head back to the beach.
Yes.
Get out of the water.
Get your towel, get yourself something cold to drink, and then watch the chaos.
There you go. So, number 2. Oftentimes, when we're in a situation like this and you're trying to help someone, whoever it may be, we come up with things like, okay, so here's some good advice. So why don't you take step 1 and 2, read this book, go to this counselor, do this thing, send this text, write this letter, whatever it is. And we say, okay, or it's maybe you stay out of this particular, don't go to this bar, don't go to a bar, or don't hang out with this group of friends that leads you down a different path. And so you agree together, like as you're working with this person, that's what you're going to do to help, move forward.
That makes complete sense. Yes, that's our next step.
Progress. That's them doing the work, but then they choose not to.
Oh, that's where the asshole comes in.
So they basically fail. Like they don't at their agreement.
Yeah. Yes. So it's so funny. There are a few people that I talk with on occasion, just trying to help them through stuff. I've been through a lot of stuff. So people are like, hey, you survived. How do you do that? And so I'll say something and then they'll go and do the exact opposite. And their next message will be like, you're going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not. You're killing yourself. So it's fine.
Right.
Because I cannot get that invested in it. Because if I did, oh my gosh, I would never sleep.
I think this is a tricky one. It's kind of a slippery slope because depending on who it is also, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt and we all do make mistakes and that's okay to do a couple of times. But when you begin to see a pattern,
right,
we can only make excuses for people for so long.
Yes.
At some point they have to take responsibility for their own actions because until people do feel those consequences, they will not feel the need to change.
Yeah, y'all.
I've lived that out personally.
I have bad news. That's just how I am. That's not legitimate. Like, you're not allowed to use that anymore. If you know that's how you are, you're probably supposed to go work on that.
Right. Oh, there's lots of professional people that can help.
Yep, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it kindly.
I'm just going to tell you to change course, do the right thing, and whatever, you're on your own.
Yeah.
No. I think too, number 3, you become so exhausted that you're so exhausted with helping that person, even, if it is a child, a teenager, whoever, that it is, and it's just exhausting all of your resources. And I don't mean just money. I'm not talking about money, but your emotional health, your spiritual health, your physical health, all those things come into play. And when you are starting to be affected in those areas and just being completely drained, that's just going to lead, first of all, that's going to lead to you feeling angry and resentful, which is also not helping the situation.
Right.
But you're not helping anyone else around you when you're being depleted because someone else is sucking you dry. It's like a leech at that point.
Yes.
Sorry. That's just what it is.
I have those moments, or I don't want to say moments, but I remember within the past 2 months, there was just this crazy 3 or 4 day stretch where it was drain, 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 and I just said to my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't do this anymore. And he said, so don't. And I was like, what?
That sounds way too easy.
He's like, you don't have to take that phone call. You're right. Yep. And then, cause my, I'm here to help everybody all the time complex, also known as the Savior complex, which I don't think that I'm not Jesus to people, but I feel like I have so much knowledge from all the mistakes that I've made, because I've made a lot of them, that I can share that. But at some point, you need to press pause and you need to set up your healthy boundaries.
Well, I think that is such a good point. If you start to feel angry and resentful about a certain situation, responsibility, relationship, that is a huge knock on the heart. And it's okay, I need to stop and answer the door and see why I'm feeling this way. And that's just to recalibrate and say, okay, what am I doing that I shouldn't be doing? Am I taking on more? Because we've tried to help people in the past with certain things, Matt and I, and like we offer suggestions, and then we'll offer to meet with people, and then like they're not doing it. They're not reading the book. They're canceling to meet, to get together, and so they obviously don't want to work on it. And it's so hard not to be like angry. It's like, don't you want to work on this?
Right. And
no, I guess not.
It's so funny you said that, because I think we say things like, oh, that's really important to me. This is so important to me. Like, I would put this in my top 3. But then if you look at your actions, activities, and what you're doing, those are exact opposite. So then you have to go back and be honest with yourself. Like, actually, this is not important to me. Losing weight is not important to me because I really like this box of cookies, right? Or, I don't know, my mental health is really not that important because I continue to choose the things that are not good for my mental health. I know that social media just takes me on this crazy rabbit hole, but I still spend 3 hours a day on it. Well, then your mental health isn't important. So change what you're telling yourself, because you are lying to yourself.
Yes, and when we're trying, that kind of leads into number 4. Like, when you're trying to help someone and it's not helping them. I mean, to me, that's like, well, they're just not listening, and they're not ready to accept that their mental health or their, physical health is important. So they're not ready yet. So don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Because there are 1,000 other people that are in that spot where they are ready. And I'm not saying just drop people, but I'm saying if they're not ready to receive it, then don't waste your energy on it.
Yeah, this might become a situation where, oh, we used to meet, once a week. And to that person, that once a week doesn't seem like a lot, but to you, you're meeting with 6 other people. So maybe once a week is a lot. Well, now that becomes a text, because I'm not going to spend that vital hour that I have to spend with somebody else with you if you're just there to, I don't know.
I used to feel super uncomfortable about that and guilty.
About what?
About the feeling that, okay, well, they obviously are not ready to... I felt like it was my job to get people to the spot where they were ready to receive help. And that is a lie. Mm-hmm. And I used to feel really guilty about that, and just putting my energies into those who were ready to listen and to move forward. Not that all I do is help people, because trust me, people, I need a lot of help myself.
But maybe you need a lot of help.
And I know people have been frustrated a lot with me because I wasn't ready to move forward too. But then my awesome counselor, who I love, he even said the same thing to me. He said, I actually ask people, after I've worked with them over a period of time and I see zero effort on their part, I tell them that I'm just not, that this isn't a good fit.
I'm not feeling it.
Basically, he fires them because he's got like a waiting list of people that are ready to be helped. And it was so freeing to me to hear that. And really that rolls into the last one that I think is important. Are you being manipulated into helping someone?
Tell me about that.
So sometimes we're coerced with I think guilt, or, oh, woe is me, I need help. And we want to help people, but they're not making any different, they're not making any change, and they really just want someone in their life enabling them. And so it's like a manipulation.
Mm-hmm. That right there pisses me off.
Right.
What's interesting is I was listening to a podcast recently, and the woman said, if you're tired of being walked on like a doormat, get off the effing floor. And I was like, oh, well, that might be how to handle that situation, number 5.
Yeah, I mean, people can often play the victim.
Yes, and I think in this day and age, victim is a word that is overused, and now it is, in my world, become a cuss word. Don't you say I'm a victim. And that's not fair, because there are people out there that truly are. But that's not what we're talking about here.
Right. It's when they are playing the victim card and manipulating with guilt to get you to help them in whatever that looks like. Is it monetarily? Is it just they're holding you emotionally hostage?
Oh, emotionally hostage. That is often, yes.
because it's like, oh, well, I'll just like, they throw something out there to basically make you afraid to leave or afraid to make a change or afraid to help in a certain way because they might do something to themselves.
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
There's like a ramification. Like that is all manipulation. But it's so easy, depending on what the relationship is. If it's a child, if it's a spouse, it's I think a lot different if it's just a friendship or random relationship. But within your family, it can be very challenging to set those healthy boundaries.
Because you do have a fear that it's going to happen and that they will do something to harm themselves or other people.
Or leave forever, or
right.
whatever that looks like. But manipulation is never... and guilt, those things, that's a red flag.
Yes.
That you need to step back.
When you've been talking, I've been thinking, we're just planting seeds and then we get to let God be God.
Yeah.
Meaning we can't change people's behavior. We can't change people's thought process because if we could, y'all, the world would be a better place. We'd be so happy. It'd be summer all the time.
It would be nice.
And it would be like our episode 2 weeks ago. There'd be a bunch of positive Pollyannas running around,
It'd be so great. Everyone would be saved from the ocean, from drowning. There would be no rip currents.
Yes.
So I think, of course, we all want to save everyone that we care about and we love. But we can't. That's actually not our job. It's God. God has to be in that. And sometimes he cannot get in the mix if we're there holding up the pieces with this house of cards.
Oh, yes.
Because it's all an illusion when we're there and we're trying to fix the problem and do the work for the person. And they're not falling. They're not failing. They're not frailing about in the water. So they're not calling out to God. They're not feeling the desperation.
They haven't hit the bottom yet.
Right. It is hard to let someone hit the bottom.
So I don't know. This might be super on the spot and you might say, hey, we'll put it in the notes. But let's say I'm encountered with a new situation and I feel like someone may or may need my help, or someone's reaching out to me for help. Do you have any, like a checklist you can run through of like we kind of talked about red flags, but what would I be looking for upon the first conversation or the first two conversations?
Well, I think it takes more than one conversation, usually.
Yeah.
If it's someone that you're not in a family with and super close with, to have seen the patterns going on in their life, I think it takes a conversation. From my experience, my personal experience, I'm not like a licensed counselor.
You should be, by the way.
Nah, I probably put the hours in, but I think you need a conversation, and then you also, you leave with, I love action steps for myself, for others, and then when they follow up, have they done that?
Okay.
Are they working towards it? You kind of have to lean on the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And your gut and your intuition and just your wisdom.
Yes.
With that. And if you see them making progress and asking for prayer and those sorts of things, and not like, yes, I would love to read that book and meet with you. And then they're like, oh, I hadn't really read it, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Then it's not important to them.
Right. And so not that the best way to help them at that point is not with your time, but just with prayer from afar.
Yes. There you go. I love it.
But sometimes we need permission to do that, and this is your permission.
It's permission.
Read about the lifeguard, whatever, certification.
Oh gosh, yes. Love it. This is your permission to not be everyone's helper.
Yeah, and enjoy the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but stay out of the rip currents.
Yeah. And do the Stingray Shuffle.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us this week on The Sinner and the Saint.